Okay, everybody, I'm back. This is just going to be part 2. Let's see who's in the building. We have Deborah. Hey, Deborah. So I'm honored to be the first one here, period. Hope you are doing well. Hey, girl. Hey. Shell says, Dani, the last slide was so heartfelt. You treat Shanquella like all of us feel. She's family to all of us. You go hard like this is your sister. We all know and sense your love and dedication. Yes, yes. And I definitely want to discuss this as well. And what happened in my last live. Okay. Debbie Jordan says, I hope it's something good for us all. Yes, I did message the email the FBI, like I said I would in my last live. Shell says, you're so fantastic, Dani. Chin up. We will win. He did not get us this far to lose us. Definitely not. I walk by faith, not by sight. God bless. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen, sister. All right. So let's see who else is here. Tina says, thank you, Dani, for showing the big heart you have, and you are doing great, and you have many supporters, and I love what you are doing. Stand your ground and let no one ruffle you to the point. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to address. There needs to be some clarification on my last live and why I reacted the way I reacted, because I definitely want people to understand my reaction. And yeah. So Genuine Woman, hey, Miss Stephanie, my mom. Yes, welcome back. No more dramas in the building. Brown Sugar. Yes, go ahead and hit that like button. We're pretty much going to pick up where we left off. That's why I put we're going to have part 2. Yeah, hit the like button on your way in. Miss Tracy's in the building. Katina, Nancy, Miss Tanya, and everyone. Thank you to everyone that was in my last live. You left some encouraging words and some hearts and your thoughts and opinions, and I greatly appreciate it. Melinda, hey. Did you get my super chat payment last week? I usually shout you out in the live. If I don't shout you out on the live, then it's by mistake. If I forgot you or I didn't see it, I apologize. Thank you so much, Miss Nola, for the super chat. And I will actually check in my studio to see if I received it or not. But again, I apologize if I overlooked it. Sometimes the chat can be a lot of people in there, or there's a lot of comments coming through, or I might be distracted and I might not see it. If that's the case, I sincerely do apologize, and I do greatly appreciate your support. And if you want me to check my studio, I can at a later point and get back to you. Just leave a comment under my video and I'll check to see if it's there. However, shout out to you for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Yes, Hunty, yes. And remember, everyone else, you can support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. But yeah, leave a comment under my video so that way I can go back in my studio. I can't do it right now, and I'll get back to you whether I got it or not. Okay, let's see. Assad. Hey. Dani, don't quit. Oh, no, I'm definitely not quitting. That's not in my blood to quit at all. And I'm just waiting until I get like at least 7 minutes in the video, and then I'll address my last video, because I know obviously I left off on the video abruptly, so I definitely have to clarify and revisit that video. Hello, Nana says, hello, Dani Miles in chat. Thank you so much, Dani, for all that you do. Yeah, everyone is in this together. It's definitely Team Shanquella until the day she gets justice, and we won't really stop until obviously she gets justice. Hey, Jacqueline. Now, I did see a Cash App from Janice. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, and I greatly appreciate your support as well. I appreciate everyone's support. So shout out to Janice for the Cash App, and also to Miss Nola for the super chat. Okay, we serve an amazing God, and I believe with all my heart justice will be served for Shanquella Robinson. Exactly. Time, it just takes time. I mean, it said there's insufficient evidence, but they can still work on the case and gather more evidence to work on this case. Hey, Sherry. Kimberly's in the building. Lady J. Miss Nancy, Miss Nola, she says, I understand you have a lot on your plate. Yeah, I definitely don't want to miss out on shouting someone out for a super chat. So I will actually, and let me know what live it was as well, if you remember the live, so I can actually go back and look at it as well. But I definitely will check in my studio. But again, I appreciate your support. We won't stop. Let's keep fighting for justice for Shanquella Robinson together. And I don't know about everyone. We love you and the work you do. Thank you. Yeah, I know a lot of people have, trust me, I know I have a lot of supporters and of people that actually, really support my channel. And I appreciate everyone that supports my channel, all my subscribers, day ones, everyone. And yeah, so I know I'm not in this alone. And I will address it I'm gonna address it in 1 more minute, because usually at 8 minutes is when there's people here that's gonna be here, so I don't have to repeat myself. Hey Marie, hey, PM channel, I haven't seen you in a minute. Hey, let's see. It's still crazy with how much the U.S. works with Mexico, right? Well, the last I heard, they were still doing their own separate investigation. And the FBI was pretty much telling people to contact Mexico to see what Mexico is doing, because they have their own separate investigation. However, Mexico has stated before that they have submitted extradition paperwork to the United States for Dani to be extradited back to Mexico. So we're pretty much asking the Department of Justice to actually comply and honor that extradition request to have Dani Jackson extradited back to Mexico. Extradited back. Okay. A genuine woman says, Brenda says, I believe they need a private investigator, a private person to conduct the autopsy. Those in Charlotte, North Carolina are working together. Yeah, I said in my last live that I believe that if they do a private autopsy, they should get the best that money could possibly buy, because it will be costly to get the best person for the job, someone with good credentials. And the most important thing is someone that's not afraid to go against another person's opinion. I mean, the person that did the autopsy, they have their results and their findings. Another person will have to step in and actually counter or go against that person's findings. If that find, like, they have to not be afraid to re-examine someone else's work. I don't know if some of you know that sometimes if you go to one doctor and then you get something done or something happens, and then you go to another doctor, and then another doctor really doesn't want to touch you because maybe another doctor has already, they say, well, we'll go back to the previous doctor for this issue. Sometimes doctors don't like to work on someone that someone else has already worked on, especially if they have to give an opinion, and maybe the opinion might be different from the other person. Shanquella's case is a high-profile case. Okay, I'm not going to discuss this because this is actually what I'm talking about. If I go into too much detail about the whole autopsy thing, it's going to trigger me. And at this point, I cannot really talk about too much. So I'm going to stop because I'm just headed back into that same direction. Yeah, I'm going to refocus. I can't. Right now, that's since it's 8 minutes in, go ahead and discuss this. At this time, I cannot discuss too much until Shanquella's autopsy because it's triggering. It's triggering because of the work I'm doing behind the scenes on trying to get people to examine the autopsy and go over the autopsy and things like that. And my whole frustration with the whole autopsy and getting another medical examiner to look at it, I've been emailing a lot of people and getting a lot of no's and like negative feedback or just responses that's not really like what I want to hear. So with that being said, I don't want to discuss the autopsy because I'm kind of frustrated with her not getting justice. I'm frustrated with the autopsy results, like the discrepancy between the autopsy results. I'm frustrated with her Dani out here free when you see her brutally attacking Shanquella. So my reaction, my last video had nothing to do with trolls. Never. Let me tell you right now, I do not care about trolls. I do not care about my enemies. I will never in my life shed one single tear for an enemy or a troll. I will, for a troll, they'll be blocked. For an enemy, they will be paid dust, or I will debunk them, or I will handle it in a different way. They will never get one single tear from me. Child, please. They wish. Troll could never, and our enemy could never. Now, Shanquella can get tears because she deserves tears. She deserves someone to grind and work hard to try to get justice for her. And her case is sad. So will I have tears for Shanquella Robinson? Yes. Will I have tears for an enemy? Hell no. Will I have tears for a troll? Hell the fuck no. So I hope I made myself clear. My tears are not for enemies or anybody else. So if I'm discussing Shanquella and I'm talking about an emotional topic and hearing a recent announcement of insufficient evidence and not bringing charges, that's what my emotions are about, and my reaction is about. And so at this point, I cannot discuss Shanquella, autopsy, and results right now at all. I can discuss it, but I cannot discuss it to the point where I'm starting to bring up why isn't she getting justice for it as it relates to the autopsy. Now, one thing I do want to clear up with the autopsy, without going into detail, I'm not going to review the whole autopsy and go into all these things because that's too triggering for me right now. But for basic things, then I can address basic things. So for some questions in the chat, you might put in the chat, I'm not going to address it if I feel it's going to trigger me an emotional reaction. Okay. Wait 1 second. Now, one thing that has been greatly discussed and debated is the embalming a body. Okay, so it says right here, American Forensics, and it says, can an autopsy be performed if the body has been embalmed? And it says yes. However, the best outcome, again, when someone says for the best outcome, that means that the results are not going to be at the best because the body has been embalmed. So if you want the best outcome, it should be performed on an unembalmed body. So it says yes. However, for the best outcome, an autopsy should be performed on an unembalmed body after proper refrigeration. So the best autopsy results comes before embalming the body. And then also continues on to say, if there is a long delay beyond 1 week, beyond the time of death in the autopsy, embalming is recommended to preserve the body tissues. So now that her body has been embalmed, that actually benefits in some way because they said that embalming the body helps to preserve the body tissues. But even so, I mean, it's been way beyond even like a week. It's been like almost 5 months, right? So there's still going to be some decomposition and deterioration of the body. Okay, and then it says it's like a double-edged sword at this point with the embalming. It helps to preserve tissues, but also it's also going to affect some outcome. It says embalming interferes with most of the toxicology studies. So it does interfere with like any like toxicology studies, and that's probably why they had to probably get samples from Mexico for certain things. So does it 100% affect the outcome of the results? No, but can it affect it and it will get not the best results? Yes. And remember, when you're trying to determine someone's cause of death, you want the best results possible. Okay, so that's addressing that. So the next thing I need to address is I'll go ahead and address I said I will actually email the FBI. I did email the FBI spokesperson, Shelley Lynch, as you all should know her name by now. And I pretty much asked her this question to clarify, is this case open or closed? The reason I'm asking is because if it's closed, then documents can be requested through the Freedom of Information Act. Now, the Freedom of Information Act allows you to obviously request public documents or records from government agencies because you're allowed to, exactly as the acronym states, it's freedom of information. for transparency from the government to the general public. And so pretty much this is the email response. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Wait 1 second. Okay. No, that's the wrong one. Hold on. That one right there was actually the one from the medical examiner. I'm not going to discuss that because it's going to go back into that same route. Just watch the I'm going to put the part 1 back up in a minute. Okay, so for Shelley Lynch, she's the FBI spokesperson of the Charlotte, North Carolina field office, and it says, "Hey, she says, "Hey," and it said my name, of course, right there, and it says, "It remains open. You can submit Freedom of Information Act anytime it gets processed. Author is closed. Here is a link to file electronically and info below on the process." It's actually, she actually just probably was like a little rush, but it's actually FOIA. But yeah, it's just a little like backwards right there. But yeah, so she says, "Hey, it remains open. You can submit Freedom of Information Act anytime it gets processed. Author is closed." So again, I pretty much know that once, why did it go down? Once the case is closed, you can request documents and case file information. So I'm like, if it's closed, we can start requesting all kinds of information from the FBI regarding the case, and we don't have to wait for Sue Ann or anyone to release the statements or any other documents, because we can officially at that point request it ourselves on a closed case. And pretty much they said that at this time, not really, because the case is still open. And open means, to be honest, is ongoing. So you cannot request any documents. Let me take this comment down for a second. Wait 1 second. So yeah, so again, for a long time now, the spokesperson has been responding to my emails, and to be honest, she actually responds like right away. And yeah, so the case is still open. And yeah, so that means that no one can really request any documents or file information, because they're going to say this is an open case, an open investigation. So I don't know why they put out the other statement, to be honest, because I wouldn't actually put out a statement saying there's insufficient evidence to bring charges until I had concluded the case. And at the conclusion, I would say, these are my answers, these are my results, right? To say you have insufficient evidence, you're not bringing charges, but then you still keep the case open. So to me, yeah, it's kind of obvious that it was a violent attack, because it was too many injuries sustained all over her body and not just in a certain region. So there's no way it can just be considered accidental. But let me go ahead and get back to the video, because like I said, I'm not going to get too far into discussing autopsy. Now, I am in the works of talking to someone, but I don't know if they're actually some people have been going back and forth, but then they actually just change their mind about actually giving their expert opinion on it, and we will see what happens, right? Yeah. So let me pull that back up one more time without the banner. Take that down. Yeah, so okay, this is better. So you can see it fully now. This is a full email, and as you can see at the bottom, it's in the signature area. It says Shelley Lynch, Public Affairs Specialist, FBI Charlotte Division. That has their phone number and then their Twitter @handle information. And she also gives me the link to where you can actually start requesting for your information. But right now, since the case is still open, you cannot get any information until it's closed. So I hope that brings some clarity. And to be honest, once I got this email as soon as I got off live. I mean, when I got off is when I checked it, and I was like, it made me feel a little better, because I mean, if she had said closed, that's one thing, but saying it's still open, that actually made me feel better. Well, a little bit better, somewhat. It still doesn't change the fact of their previous statement. Well, it kind of like, I have to think about it more, into more how I really feel about it. But let me go ahead and get into the next thing on the list. Where I left off at before was where was it? Yeah, the TMZ video. So let's go ahead and discuss this video. Yeah, and please continue to pray for the family. And yeah, so they're definitely going through it, obviously. Yeah, so wait 1 second.
It's been nothing but frustration, and it's an emotional roller coaster, because now we back to the beginning, to how we was feeling 5 months ago when we first heard of her death. So we think it's a sad situation, and I solely stand on that. Those people in that room that was on that trip with my sister caused her death, even though it's some discrepancies between the two examiners, the autopsies, their reports. Both reports, she died a horrific death. Here in the States, she had blunt force trauma. We all know that's to the head, and she suffocated. She had trauma on the report from Mexico as well. So we are at disbelief. And I think the world is at disbelief. How can no charges be brought when we see and witness some form of violent attack towards her? Everybody's seen that video. And then they come back, and here we is. They brought us in a room. It's about 10 or 12 FBI agencies that all had a part in the investigation. And the only thing they can tell us that her death is undetermined. So we baffled, actually, and we're upset, and we exhausted. It shouldn't. No family should have to go through what we go through, what we have been through, and then it being public, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, so there's
the Mexican authorities completed an autopsy right the day after Shanquella's death. So they completed an autopsy immediately, a complete autopsy of her organs, of her entire body. The United States FBI, the Charlotte FBI, did an autopsy after her body had already been through that initial autopsy, and after it had already been prepared for burial in Mexico and then was shipped here. It had already been embalmed, and they had a second doctor do another autopsy in the United States.
It's been nothing but frustration, and it's an emotional roller coaster, because now we back to the beginning, to how we was feeling 5 months ago when we first heard of her death. So we think it's a sad situation, and I solely stand on that. Those people in that room that was on that trip with my sister caused her death, even though it's some discrepancies between the two examiners, the autopsies, their reports. Both reports, she died a horrific death. Here in the States, she had blunt force trauma. We all know that's to the head, and she suffocated. She had trauma on the report from Mexico as well. So we are at.
Yeah, that's interesting how she's saying that she suffocated. Suffocated. I wonder where she's getting that from, or that's her interpretation of what some of the autopsy findings are. Because if she obviously was like alive when the doctor came, then how can there be suffocation there? Unless you're saying that someone like was trying to like suffocate her, but they didn't actually complete the full, like it didn't alive her to a certain point, but it caused her to have some brain injury due to being suffocated to a certain point. I don't know what she got that from. Okay, so let's go ahead and see something here. Hold on.
Disbelief. And I think the world is at disbelief. How can no charges be brought when we seen and witnessed some form of violent attack towards her? Everybody's seen that video. And then they come back and here we is, they brought us in a room. It's about 10 or 12 FBI agencies that all had a part in the investigation. And the only thing they can tell us that her death is undetermined. So we baffled, actually, and we're upset. And we exhausted. It shouldn't. No family should have to go through what we go through, what we have been through, and then it being public, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's kind of different if someone comes back to you with a different autopsy finding or cause of death, and it's like they give you something, like they say it was this or it was that. And then you can say, okay, well, now they gave me a new cause of death, and I have now like a different like opinion. But for someone to say undetermined, that's when it becomes okay. So now you're pretty much giving me no answer at that point. So let's look at the cause of death on certain things, and then let's watch the next video. So let's see here. On this website pretty much goes over like causes and manners of death. And cause of death is a term used to indicate the medical cause of death. This is obvious information. Manner of death is a way to categorize death as required by the Washington State Department of Health. And so the manner of death is, the classifications are natural, accident, suicide, homicide, undetermined, and pending. So this is actually going to be, they didn't really give us her cause of death. They kind of gave like a manner of death, manners of death. The manner of death is determined by the medical examiner. Natural is defined as a death caused solely by disease or natural process. If natural death is hastened by injury, such as a fall or drowning in a bathtub, the manner of death is not considered natural. That's kind of like if someone has, like, they're having a heart attack, but then they fall into a tub and then they drown, and then that kind of like hastens it. And so then they probably don't put heart attack, they'll probably put like drowning or suffocation or something like that in a pool. Okay, so accidental death is next. Accident is defined for medical examiner death certification purposes as an unnatural death resulting from an inadvertent cause happening. Kind of like a traffic accident, for instance. We pretty much know what accidental is. On the job, injury-related deaths, etc., traffic deaths. And then next we have suicide. We already know that's kind of like self-inflicted injuries. And then goes next is homicide, is defined as the action of one person directly causing the death of another, which is what we intended, or we expected, should I say, to be on the autopsy report. A death that occurs during and is related to the commission of a felony is also considered homicide. A violent death. A violent death may stem from some kind of deliberate or purposeful action. But intent to cause death need not to be present or proven for the classification. So intent doesn't really matter for this classification for the manner of death. And that can be like unintentional firearms, and obviously what happened here. And then we get to undetermined. Undetermined is listed as a manner of death classification in only a small number of cases each year. And that's because usually people are able to do a full autopsy work on someone and establish or determine their complete analysis of the body what the cause of death is, at least the manner of death, well, whatever. I mean, the cause of death, should I say. It says undetermined is an appropriate designation for cases that have very little available information about the circumstances surrounding the death, e.g., for example, partial skeletal remains or where known information equally supports conflicts with more than one manner of death. And obviously for Shanquella, it was obviously not just a partial skeletal remains. So it could be the latter, says, or where known information equally supports conflicts with more than one manner of death. Oh yeah, that's to me was kind of like happening, that there was conflicting statements that were made that she fell in the bathroom and they had her face down like she fell. And then they also had that obviously there was a brutal attack shown on video. So there's like conflicting statements going on, and then they have to determine which one caused her death. And then there was also other people that were around her body before she passed away, like the maid was along with Shanquella and also Nazir, and then also the doctor came. So there's different people that were in her care, or that she was in their care. Okay, it says an undetermined manner of death is assigned to cases of unnatural death when a clear preponderance of evidence supporting a specific manner, homicide, accident, or suicide is not available. It has to be a clear preponderance. It has to be a lot of evidence supporting a specific manner, such as homicide, accident, or suicide. If there's not a lot of evidence supporting those, then they will put as undetermined. It's not saying that it's not those. It's saying that there's not enough evidence to support one of those options, or there's conflicting information. Like something could look like a homicide and like an accident at the same time, and since it's conflicting and they can't really determine which one actually caused the death, then they say undetermined. And they have to say like it has to be a clear preponderance of evidence showing which one it was, homicide or accident. Let's say like Dejanay obviously brutally beat her in the morning, and then they say that she went and then she was still alive, but then she went into the bathroom and then she fell. So now she has an accidental fall. So now they have to say, well, she wasn't killed because of the attacks on her person or her body. She was actually killed as far as the fall. And since the medical examiner can't determine which one it is, a homicide or an accident, he will say, oh, well, it's undetermined. It could be either one. She died as a result of the brutal attack, or she died as a result of the fall. Since I can't determine, then I will put undetermined until more evidence comes in to prove either or. And to be honest, to save his own ass, because if he puts the wrong thing and then if someone else does an autopsy or something else happens, his credentials or his qualifications will be questioned, or his, Okay, so it says some unexpected infant deaths that are not classified as natural, such as sudden infant death syndrome, which is SIDS, such as when an unsafe sleeping environment is present, may be classified as undetermined in manner. So, for instance, there are some like natural causes of death, which is the infant death syndrome. They're not classified as natural. Let me re-examine this one. They're not classified as natural at some times because they see that the child was actually in an unsafe sleeping environment, to where it possibly could have probably led to some kind of suffocation of the child because maybe how they were laying down, or maybe pillows or blankets there, or something else that could have caused the death. So they will put undetermined because they're not sure if it's actually sudden infant death syndrome that caused it, or some kind of the unsafe sleeping environment. And since they can't say with 100% certainty which one it is, they will put undetermined. And then the last manner of death is pending. Pending may be listed temporarily on the death certificate for cause and or manner when additional investigation, information, or test results are required for certification. these classifications are generally amended as soon as additional information becomes available. So they didn't put pending because obviously they're not waiting for any results. That's probably like a intermediate or some kind of like stage in the process before they actually make their official manner of death. Like when they're probably waiting for toxicology results, once they finish some other results, they'll put pending. Okay, so anyways, undetermined is right here of why it is. So that actually kind of makes sense to why he would put undetermined. He's still leaving this open, not making a choice. Like if he actually put accident on this instead of undetermined, he just said it was an accident, then that would actually later on rule out any thing as relates to homicide. But since he already saw the video, he knows that there was a violent attack that occurred, and she also has injuries all over her body that will align with violence. He definitely cannot rule out homicide. And since he was also told that it was a fall in the bathroom and then that she was found face down by the maid, he can't rule out accident. I mean, he can't rule this out. He has 100% proof of how he can rule out one of these. But if he can't rule out one, then he has to put undetermined, because now it goes right here. It says, or where known, information equally supports conflicts of more than one manner of death. So I'm actually curious to know, like, I guess a third autopsy and also someone that's really qualified to give a third autopsy. And also even like someone else will look over the current autopsy results. And based on the patterns of abrasions and hematomas and everything around her body, based on everything of the diagram, so look over it, and then from that, just sort of examine the current autopsy to see how they would have ruled it. Based on looking at the video and all the evidence, what would another expert rule it as? That's the question. Because when if it ever goes to court, which I hope it does, because we need justice for Shanquella, and I obviously have to go to court for that to happen. So I would say when I was speaking into existence, when it goes to court, they would have to have a medical examiner be an expert witness on the stand and testify as to what they think about the autopsy results and findings. Okay, so the next thing on the list, there was I'm going to play Sue Ann Robinson's brief interview on Rock's channel. I shared it on my community tab as well, so make sure you check that out to the full video. I'm only going to play the portion with Sue Ann Robinson on the panel.
Robinson, you'll recall, died while she was vacationing in Cabo last October. It's renewed push for.
Okay, this video right here was the most recent protest. They pretty much it was just like last minute, to be honest. And they pretty much went out and they stood on this street corner, pretty much holding up signs for justice for Shanquella. So I'm going to play that video. And this was actually just happened yesterday. I think they actually need to do this again, but actually to promote it more so it can get more people out there.
Right now in West Charlotte, neighbors calling for justice in the case of Shanquella Robinson. We want to check back in on that rally now. It just started a few minutes ago. This is a live image you can see happening as we speak near Beatties Ford Road. Robinson, you'll recall, died while she was vacationing in Cabo last October. This renewed push for action comes after the Justice Department announced it will not pursue her case. Another rally for Robinson is expected to happen in Washington, D.C. next month. Again, this one happening live, just kicking off with a handful of people there.
Okay, that was just a protest, but it went out and held up signs. It was not that many people there, as you can see, about a dozen people. So the next one is pretty much going over the same thing. It says, cause of justice for Shanquella's illicit cheers called car horns in Northwest Charlotte. Cause of justice for Shanquella's illicit cheers, car horns in Northwest Charlotte. People saw them out there holding up signs. They were honking their horns. You know, like if you stand on a corner, you're protesting, people honk their horns and like to support your cause. That's their way of like, you know, like supporting you, like cheering you on, should I say, and showing support for what you're saying. As Mario Black holds a sign Wednesday, April 19th on B80's Ford Road calling for justice in the death of Shanquella Robinson. And he's holding up a sign. You know, Mario is the one that has pretty much planned all of the Shanquella Robinson events, not all of them, not the one in Washington, but the ones mainly based and planned and set for and hosted in Charlotte, North Carolina, is usually hosted by Mario Black. And it says about a dozen people stood on the corner of B80's Ford Road and LaSalle Street on Wednesday afternoon, holding signs and leading chants of justice for Shanquella. Dozens more joined them by honking their horns and cheering out their car windows as they drove by. Yes, and yes, I love to see it. The demonstration took place a week after the U.S. Justice Department announced it would not seek federal charges in the death of Charlotte native Shanquella Robinson. The 25-year-old West Charlotte High School graduate died on October 29, 2022, while vacationing near Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico, with 6 other people. The Justice Department said it reviewed an autopsy performed in Mecklenburg County, as well as other investigative materials before making its decision not to pursue any U.S. charges, which is interesting because, like, why would you announce you're not going to pursue any charges, but then keep the case open? I would not announce that I'm not going to pursue charges until I have like reached my final conclusion or answer regarding the case. So that's weird. That's weird. I don't make decisions until I've reached a conclusion or I've already looked at all the evidence and everything I've gathered, and then I will make my decision. I wouldn't say I'm not going to press charges on someone and then keep the case open. That tells me that obviously they feel that something happened, but they just need more evidence and proof of what happened, and that's why they're keeping it open. But I still don't see the point of announcing it. Now, I have heard of things like this before, but to be honest, it was kind of like a movie. Like a movie. I'm serious. I'm just trying to say it's a movie or things like that where they pretend like they are concluding something just to get people, the persons responsible, like comfortable, or thinking that they're free to go or that nothing's going to happen to them. But then the case is still actually open, or they're still being looked into. They become more careless and stuff like that. Anyway, that could be just wishful thinking. The Mecklenburg autopsy found no evidence of a spinal cord injury and categorized Robinson's cause of death as undetermined, contradicting an earlier autopsy performed in Mexico that listed spinal cord injuries as the cause of death. At Wednesday's demonstration, local activist Mario Black said he and others were disappointed with the announcement from the Justice Department, but remain hopeful that an arrest will still be made. And I greatly do understand the disappointment, the frustration, the whole 9 yards, everything that he stated. And yes, it's like unbelievable that they will come out and say no charges and then keep the case open at the same time. It's like conflicting statements and actions at that point, or at this point. Mexican authorities have issued an arrest warrant for a woman believed to have been traveling with Robinson in Mexico, and local activists have cited as potential evidence a video that circulated online showing Robinson being attacked and beaten by a woman in a Mexican villa shortly before she died. And the United States, if they do not want to pursue the case any longer and they feel that they have insufficient evidence, they need to just honor Mexico's request for the extradition of Dejanay Manhan Jackson. As simple as that. Y'all don't want to prosecute and try her in the United States, and you feel like you have insufficient evidence. Let Mexico try her and over there, and just follow through with the extradition. Simple as that. Black said he hoped the U.S. would take the woman named in the arrest warrant into custody and extradite her to face charges in Mexico. It's unclear if Mexican authorities have formally requested any extraditions. Now, Mexico did say that they have already completed the extradition paperwork, Daniel de la Rosanaya. And what's interesting is that since the FBI made this announcement, I have not heard from Mexico. We have been emailing Daniel de la Rosanaya. I have not heard that he has made a statement. That's interesting. Why wouldn't he make a statement on this? I mean, okay. However, we have to keep in mind that even though Mexico has made an extradition request, as far as we know, because that was just stated, we haven't seen the paperwork. Well, you know what? The paperwork that Suan posted is usually a part of the extradition, like paperwork or the files that are also going to be submitted. If you look at the Bruce Redmond case, they had like a complete, like they had so many pages. So yeah, just extradite her back to Mexico. But oh yeah, so pretty much the Department of Justice still has to approve the extradition. And usually they don't approve an extradition unless they feel like there is at least circumstantial evidence enough to prove something. So Mexico they can't extradite Desjardins Jackson until the Department of Justice approves it. And what we have to understand is that the Department of Justice and the FBI is who released the statement that there's insufficient evidence. So I don't really know how that will work. So to be honest, the Department of Justice and the FBI need to work together to build up enough evidence, at least to be considered. To me, they already have enough circumstantial evidence, and sign off on the extradition paperwork so then Desmond can be shipped back to Mexico and let Mexico handle the trial. Okay, Black said he and other activists, as well as attorneys for the Robinson family, plan to protest in Washington, D.C. on May 19th to keep pressuring U.S. officials to make an arrest in the case. And I will be sending out email information for that Washington, D.C. protest on May 19th. So if anyone is interested in attending, I will be posting that information in an email. And the more people that attend, the better. Okay, so what's left now? We pretty much, in the last two videos, we pretty much covered the new topics besides one thing. There is Sue Ann Robinson on Shank Rock's channel, so I'm actually going to post that. Let me read some comments first and then go over that video, and then it's pretty much going to wrap it up for the updates. And if there's any other updates, I will let y'all know. The next thing I'm probably going to do is, like I said, I'm trying to see if I can get a medical examiner to give their expert opinion on the autopsy. If not, then I would just do my own video on autopsy like I said I would. But I prefer like the expert to give their opinion in layman terms than just give my opinion. I'm not a medical examiner. So sometimes, like I brought on a medical examiner before, I prefer an expert with expertise and credentials to give an opinion. I will always give my own opinion as well, but first I'm trying to get an expert, and then I'll give my opinion as well too. Okay. So again, I'm gonna post the link to the video so you can watch the full video, but I'm gonna give my commentary and thoughts on the portion that Sue Ann was on the panel.
From these millenniums trying to make a name for themselves and take to speak with any from these millenniums.
Hey, gotta take 5. Hey, everybody that I miss.
Salute, Sue Ann. How's it going, Sue Ann Robinson?
Hey, how are you?
Linda says someone has to connect the fight to her death. We have to remember, we have to keep saying brutal attack. Someone has to connect the brutal attack to her death. Looks like an expert medical examiner could take that video frame by frame and pinpoint when her injury occurred and if she was able to get up. Cause that's the thing. People are going to not just think about giving their opinion, because once you're an expert on something, you're now putting your name and your neck on the line. If you break down that video and say, this is when that injury occurred, this was when it occurred, this is when it occurred, you're putting your neck on the line. However, there are some that do that, that have actually spoke out. Remember, there's Nancy Grace panelists that came on Nancy Grace's show, and they said that at certain points in the video, you can see that's when they said that's when the atlas luxation occurred, right? And remember now with the new findings of being undetermined, and they are saying there's no atlas luxation, then guess what? Now it kind of like, well, the other medical examiner stated that at that time in the video, that's when it could possibly happen. See, things like that. Now it can lead to people questioning those people's credibility, right? We have to actually kind of consider that the video doesn't really show enough details of what injury it could cause someone. There's a plethora of injuries it can possibly cause, but you cannot say like a specific injury caused that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be kind of careful once you have credentials or kind of license or something, because what you say is not just going to be opinion that much. It's going to be like people are going to take your word for what it is, like a fact or whatever else, because of your credentials. So to be honest, that video really, it shows that she was violently attacked and that she could possibly obviously sustain injuries from those violent attacks, but you cannot really say from the video what injury she will sustain from it. You know what I'm saying? And also the video doesn't actually show her like actually being unalive at the end of the video, like with 100%. So that's why the Cabo could say, well, she got up and walked to the bathroom and she must have fell in there or something, because they know that video doesn't show that she was deceased at the end of it. So they were saying that she got up and walked to the bathroom or walked to her room area. But yeah, so pretty much you can go back and look at some old Nancy Grace videos, and there are panelists that have stated that that's when the injury occurred in the video. But as far as getting another medical examiner to actually come and say, break down the video and say, this is when that occurred and this is when that occurred, that's probably not going to happen, because no one's going to put their credentials on the line. For most people won't, as shall I say.
Cool.
I'm doing pretty good on this wonderful day down here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Can you share with us some of the discrepancies between the Mexico autopsy and the autopsy report that was done at Mecklenburg County?
We were verbally advised, because we haven't been provided the autopsy documents in writing, but we were advised that the autopsy taken by the FBI, which was after her body had been embalmed and transported, that it didn't show a neck injury, but it did show swelling on the brain and the same contusions as in the Mexican autopsy.
Yeah, so again, swelling on the brain, as dizzy, like blunt force trauma. So there's a lot going on.
Were you able to speak with any of those doctors that performed any of the autopsy?
We were not, and we were not provided the documentation either. So this was verbally told to me and the family in a meeting.
Wow. After going over both autopsies, or after, you know, the autopsy reports were done to you guys, were given to you guys, what do you and the family believe that actually caused the unaliving of Shanquella?
The attack from the video. Even if, you know, there's no autopsies, we can all see in the video that she's being beaten and brutally attacked. And so, you know, the FBI relying on the fact that their autopsy that took place more than 2 months after her death doesn't make any sense when there's photographic evidence of what occurred, which is that she was brutally beaten.
Have you seen any of the statements that the Cabo Six have given?
Yes.
And it's clear from her injuries. It's clear from the video and even like the autopsy that the injuries that she has is from Dejanay Jackson brutally attacking her. We can actually see Dejanay like hitting her in the face and things like that. And now we see that she has these injuries and abrasions, and we can see her brutally attacking her, and then it goes along with the video. So it's common sense, right? But they weren't stupid. That's why I definitely said before that we need to bring back the discussion of Shanquella, of the fake friend saying that she fell in the bathroom, because I was like, wait, there's no way people can be overlooking the busted eye and the hemorrhage in the eye and the busted blood vessel in the eye. How can they not see that? And then like, oh yeah, of course. Remember, November 23rd, Daniel De La Rosa Naya had spoke to a journalist in Mexico and stated that the fake friends from Cabo that she traveled with stated that Shanquella drank too much and had an accidental fall in the bathroom. So now that's why they had her face down in the bathroom to pretend like she fell down. Well, obviously someone face down, their your nose projects farther outside of your face than anything on your face. So that should actually be at least like broken or fractured or something with your nose if it's falling like face forward with a lot of force, face down on the tile floors with a lot of force. And on top of that, then you also have your mouth, and not just your mouth, like your outer, which they said that she had a busted lip. It would be like your inner, because your teeth will actually grind into your and your gums when you go face down. But your nose be the first thing to hit the floor because it projects outwardly more. So it's not really consistent with that. And then on top of that, she had injuries that would not like coincide with someone falling face down. It's like someone falling face down, they would not have injuries on their sides and also on their back area. So it just really doesn't make sense on the posterior area. It does not make sense.
Are you able to share any of that information?
We actually attached some of the statements. I believe one of the statements from Mr. Cook was attached to the letter that we sent to President Biden, as well as statements of other witnesses that were in the house. And we attached the statements just so that the administration would be aware that it was a legitimate case that had actually been identified by the Mexican authorities, that they had completed an investigation. And that's why we attached those statements to the letter that we sent to the White House, because obviously it's very easy to get caught up on conjecture, false information, people's opinions.
Okay, so she said that she attached to the White House Khalil Cook and other statements. However, the documents we saw did not have the statements from Khalil Cook. They only had the 2 statements from the concierge. They had the one from the concierge manager, Gio, and then the other one from the other main concierge, which was over the villa, Villa Linda 32. We didn't have the packet with that in there. So I wonder, does she not know that we don't have that out here? Or maybe the news didn't release all the statements. Maybe the news, because remember, most people have the one from the news, right? The news posted only those documents, but I'm sure that why wouldn't they post the other ones from like Khalil Cook? Or maybe she's saying that she sent a separate packet to the White House, then she released to the public. Maybe to the White House, you know what? Maybe to the White House, she probably sent like way more information than she did to the news. I don't know, but I do know in the statements that were released, at least that I have and others have on YouTube, at least, and also the news posted, it only had the concierge, 2 concierge statements. So let's go ahead and see.
What people
Now, I would love to see Khalil Cook's statement now. So I don't know.
people think, what they believe, but those things are not based in fact. And so that's why I'm here, in part because I recognize how important the people were in bringing this case to the forefront and assisting the family. But it's also important for the same people to be accountable, in the sense that we want to make sure not to jeopardize the case for the family. We want to make sure not to hurt the family. We want to make sure not to hurt Shanquella's legacy and her memory, so that the FBI cannot escape the facts.
And why are people still attacking the family? The family, I never really get the whole family thing. The family were not in Cabo. They were not in Cabo. They were in the United States. Shanquella's mother was in the United States. Her sister was in the United States at the time. They were not in Cabo. Her father was not in Cabo. Shanquella does not want people attacking her family. Let me tell you something. If anyone passes away, I'm telling you, they don't want people attacking their family unless their family wasn't around them. And that's not the case. If they were estranged from their family, maybe, and they never spoke to their family, maybe, but not a family that they still were talking to. Her father said he had just talked to her that Wednesday. He didn't say last Christmas or last Easter. He said that the Wednesday. Her mother said that she talked to her the day before. This is not a strange relationship. This is not a distant relationship. These people are in communication. Okay? Let me tell you, if you actually care about Shanquella and getting justice for her, you actually not attack the very people she cares about. Because trust me, she does not want people attacking her sister, her mother, or her father. She knows that they are grieving for her loss, that they are frustrated with not getting her justice, and she loves them. So one thing you know is that you don't attack someone that someone loves, and she loves her parents and her sister. She spoke to her mother a day before she was brutally attacked. She spoke to her father that Wednesday. She spoke to them because she keeps in communication and contact with them. If she was estranged and she didn't like them, they would not have heard from her recently. They would have been saying, I haven't heard from her in a long time. So I'm telling you right now, Shanquella does not want people attacking her loved ones. Nope. That's the wrong route. Wrong road, wrong route. Nope. But of course, everyone can do what they want. But as for me and my channel, no one can leave comments in my chat attacking family of Shanquella, because I just feel like since they were in communication and contact with her, and recently, right before she was brutally murdered, it wasn't like they were not estranged from her, then they shouldn't be attacked. Simple as that. Now, there are some people that they are brutally murdered or something happens to them, and then some family comes out of the woodwork like, oh, that's my sister or my cousin. I haven't spoken to them in a long time, but now since they're passed away and I can get some money off of them now. I can make some money. I can get some attention or clout. I don't even speak to this person. That's not what was happening here. They just spoke to her right before her trip. Recent. It wasn't like a strange and people coming out of nowhere just to profit. So it's weird. It's one thing to already be losing someone that you love and you just spoke to, and then now they're gone. And there's another to, while you're grieving, for people to be making videos saying you're responsible for the person's death. Like, wow, now that's a double injury. Like, one, I lost my loved one, my child, and then now I'm being accused of killing my child. So if they actually went to Cabo, that would be one thing. But since they were actually in the United States, miles and miles and miles away, I don't really see the point of dragging the family. I don't. But to each their own. But just to know, on my channel, I would not tolerate that in my chat.
Which are that we all saw her brutally beaten on video, that the individuals who were present, that we can hear speaking in the video, are sleep comfortably in their beds at night in the United States, free with all of us. Those are the facts. So, you know, and you came to the press conference in North Carolina. So, you know, my position is that the family very much appreciates all the support that they get.
Okay, I'm on mute. I'm talking to myself. So yeah, Sandy says, remember her sister said Shanquella came to her house to borrow a suitcase. Exactly. And then someone else mentioned the same thing. Denithia says she borrowed Quella's suitcase. Exactly. So she had been in contact with her sister right before the trip, and then her mother, and then also her father. And it was recent, but right before the trip. It wasn't a long time ago in the strange relationship. So in that way, in that sense, Shanquella does not want people attacking her family. She doesn't. I'm telling you. If you had just spoken to your family, you borrowed your sister's suitcase, you spoke to your mother on the phone the night before, like for dinner, like before you were eating dinner and everything else, and then you also spoke to your father that Wednesday before you left, that Wednesday, and then the trip was Friday. It's like 2 days before, right? And maybe she didn't tell her father she was going to Cabo because maybe she knew that he would probably worry and say, oh, why are you going over there? And all these questions. So maybe she avoided. But she had just spoke to her father that Wednesday. She spoke to her, borrowed her sister's suitcase, you know, like some sisters or siblings probably want to borrow something. And then her mother, she spoke to the night before. And these are people that she's in close contact and communication with. They're not on the screen. So therefore, if you had all done these things, like you spoke to your father on Wednesday, your mother the night before, you were brutally attacking you borrowed your sister's suitcase for the trip, and then now you are deceased, and now you can see from heaven above that now your family is being attacked, and you had just communicated with them before your trip. They have nothing to do with it because they were not in Cabo, and now people are attacking your family. first people were attacking you. Obviously, Bruce attacked you in Cabo, and now you see people attacking your family. Like, well, okay. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on that whole family debate.
From everyone in keeping Shanquella's name, alive and making sure that people are aware of what happened to her. It's just a matter of us sharing factual information. And that's why, even though, people might say, well, why are you going on to a blogger or a YouTuber? I recognize that it's the people's movement and it's the people's case. And I respect that 100%. I just want to make sure that when we are sharing information, that it's the right information, that it's accurate, and that it's always going to be pushing forward the most important work of our time, which is us getting equal justice under the laws in the United States.
And we definitely appreciate you for joining us. I reached out to you and, you was willing, so we definitely appreciate you for reaching out and, reaching back and pulling up, to share this information with us. Has it been confirmed that one of the travel mates actually arrived a day later after Shanquella Robinson arrived?
Has it been confirmed that a travel mate arrived after she arrived?
Yes. Go ahead.
All of the individuals who were in the villa signed in on the guest registry, which would have been on the 28th. And that's also attached to the letter. So I know there's a lot of, people.
Okay, so what she's talking about now is a letter that was sent to the White House, the letter to the president of the White House. I don't know. I think she might believe that the Khalil statement is attached to it, but it's not, at least for the ones we have. So Shank is pretty much asking, I think, about pretty much trying to center on Nazir and how he wasn't there on that Friday based on American Airlines flight information, right? And Suanne is pretty much saying everyone on the trip signed in on the sheet, is on the sign-in sheet. So in this sense, we already know based on the letter she sent to the White House that the concierge stated that Nazir didn't sign his name. So he obviously he didn't sign his name. However, Suanne is saying everyone on that list is who was on the trip. So she's saying that everyone on the list was on the trip. So to be honest, a lawyer that's a civil rights lawyer, a lawyer in general, is not going to excuse anyone. They're not going to give anyone any leniency. Everyone on the trip is going to be held accountable for their part in it. And at any point, everyone on the trip can be held liable or responsible in some way or sued. So it's not responsible or in any lawyer's best interest at any point of an open investigation where she doesn't know all the facts of the case. She doesn't know all the information of the case. She doesn't have all the knowledge of the case. She doesn't know what happened after everyone arrived. We all don't know this information. I don't know all this information. Okay? So until you know all the facts of a case and everyone's part in it, everyone's responsibility and everyone's knowledge and everyone knew, you keep everyone on the table. You keep everyone on as responsible or accountable for what they could know or what they could possibly know. You don't know what someone knew before the trip. You don't know what someone knew during the trip or even after the trip, because you don't have all the communications. You don't have all the evidence. Okay. So was Nazir there on that Friday? No. But does she know 100% that he didn't know anything about anything before they actually were going to go on a trip? No, she doesn't. Does she know that he knows anything when he arrived there, that they told him anything? No, she doesn't. Does she know anything about what happened after she was deceased and everybody left, including Nazir? No, she doesn't. So she doesn't know anything about all this information, 100% proof of everything. Because there are some people that are the belief that they was all set up and planned before they left the United States. So who's to say basically that Nazir didn't help plan something before they all went to Cabo? So as a lawyer, you never take anyone off the list of people that can be sued or anyone that can be held culpable in a criminal lawsuit. Everyone is still going to be on the list, and everyone is still going to be named as a possible suspect because you don't know all the details and facts of the case. And it's irresponsible of a lawyer to actually excuse anyone, because later on, if you excuse someone and later on you can find out that they were a part of a cover-up, then guess what? Now you have already said they're excused, and now you can't really sue the person for like wrongful death or negligence or something else. So as a lawyer, I would not take anyone off the list of any suspect list at all. So that's why I got from this whole thing is that she's not going to take anyone off of anything, because that's not her job to do so until 100% facts are known. But what is true and what is known is that Nazir didn't sign his name and he was not there that Friday. However, there's not 100% proof without a shadow of doubt that he didn't know anything way ahead of time. And there's nothing, and I don't mean like our speculation or our opinions or our guesses. I mean evidence. Evidence is different from opinion. And then there's not 100% proof that's based on evidence, not just opinion. That he didn't know anything about the video until it surfaced. There's not 100% proof without evidence that he didn't know. They didn't tell him when he arrived. So as a lawyer, you cannot go by your opinion or your guesses or your speculation. You can only go by evidence. And that evidence, she's seeking evidence. She's seeking, to me, in my opinion, she wants someone to come forward and then say everything that they know and talk, maybe give every detail of everything they possibly know, so you can have more information to work with and more information to get justice for Shanquella. So until that happens, everyone's name is going to be on the list, and as simple as that. And I agree with that, to be honest, because as a lawyer, that's how I would move. As a lawyer, I would not, everyone would be on the list until I get all the answers. I'm not going to let anyone off. And if you actually want to be off the hook, then you definitely have to come forward and give me every single detail that you have. Other than that, you're still going to be on the list with everybody else. Simple as that.
Including members of the Cabo Six had their videos and, their theories and their so-called receipts and whatever information they wanted to kind of put out. But I think at the end of the day, again, we all saw Shanquella being beaten. Everyone who was present in the villa at that time was aware of that, including the 3 individuals who went to Salamandra Robinson's home, offered their condolences, and advised that Shanquella passed away from alcohol poisoning, and never mentioned the beating. Never at any time did they say, hey, Miss Robinson, Shanquella did overindulge. We called the doctors. We tried to help her. Just so you're aware of how she spent her last moments. That morning, there was an issue. We resolved it, or whatever the case may be. And then she continued to have symptoms. No, I think the most evident part of the consciousness of the guilt of the parties is them not saying anything about an altercation, not saying anything about beating her while she's naked.
Now, there was obviously a cover-up. No one actually mentioned that it was a brutal attack at all until they all came back. No one ever actually mentioned a brutal attack. The family had to find out on their own that was a brutal attack. And Nazir said he didn't even know until the video surfaced, but that's what he said, this statement, right? Okay, so why would you hide that? If I know someone died from, let's say that I was on a trip and I say that Shanquella fell in the bathroom and that's how she passed away, right? Why would I go to the family and say that, oh no, there was no fighting over there. No one was fighting. No one did any fighting. Why would I hide the fact that there was fighting? It's because I'm hiding it because I know that if that is known, then people will say, oh my gosh, that's probably what killed her. So you want to try to hide the fact that there was fighting over there to hide what you've done. Simple as that. If I wasn't trying to hide it, I would say, oh yeah, she fell in the bathroom after we got into a fight and she fell into the bathroom. Instead of saying we got into a fight, she fell into the bathroom, they just say, oh, she fell in the bathroom and she drank too much or whatever. They left out the part about the fighting, which we already know is a brutal attack, of course. And why did they leave it out? That's called omission and it's called cover up. Simple. And that's why, to be honest, that's why the FBI case is still open. The FBI, if the FBI believes 100% without a shadow of a doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, that it was just accidental or something natural or something, they would already shut this case down. The reason they're keeping it open, I got an email today that is still open. The reason it's open because the FBI knows there's something there. There's the evidence to prove it. And it needs to be more than that video. To be honest, I wish I could see their evidence list and what they have, their exhibits and everything. But they need more than that video. I can't say that. And at that point, we need the autopsy. The autopsy will put a nail in the coffin, but the autopsy said undetermined, which we already went over that definition. Now, do I believe that Nazir was there on Friday? No, I know 100%. Because of the airlines and information. He was there Saturday at 2:17 p.m. He was around Shanquella for less than an hour before the doctor arrived. However, that's all I can say. I don't know what happened while he was there. Do I believe that they actually included him in the cover-up? No. But do I believe that he's doing all he can do for justice for Shanquella? Not really. And that's unreal. Because I really do think that there's still a thing there where it's like Shanquella is your friend. I would say associate, and then there's the others as well. So then you're in between, but you're still not 100% choosing a side. And in that case, that's when it's a problem. Yeah. In this case, you have to choose a side. There's Team Shanquella or there's Team Dejanay. There's no floating in the middle. Not when it comes to something like this. Nope. So in that case, I don't know. I can only say he was not there on Friday, and he was not there until 2:17 p.m. And I don't think he was a part of any cover-up, but he obviously didn't do what he was supposed to do as a friend by staying in Cabo and everything else. I don't know what happened with them leaving early and what all happened there and all that. I don't know all that. So I can only go up to what happened to 2:17 p.m. That's it. But yeah, everybody there, like the father said in my part 1, he would have made sure that you had a place to stay and that you were going to be taken care of while you were in Cabo, to stay with his daughter, make sure that she came home with you, meaning that you help assist and watching her, keeping an eye on her, not just fleeing back to the United States, right?
That the first way we find out about any of this is through a video that was released to the public. Respect to me would have been to say, hey.
And Eugene, I don't know if you're new or not. She says there was no fighting. There was an attack caused unalive. When I said there was fighting over there, I'm actually going over something that was stated. These were statements made by people in early videos stating, oh, they didn't tell us it was fighting over there. These are statements from interviews. So it's not my words. I'm actually rephrasing or telling what happened before, or what was said before. I've already said on my channel is referred to as a brutal attack. But what I'm talking about before was that the Cabo were saying that there was no fighting over there. And then some people said, oh, they're fighting that girl over there. So I'm talking about old statements. So I'm quoting people, and quotation marks are here now. So I definitely don't refer to it as a fight, but a brutal attack. Dani, someone else was saying that Elise may have family working in the Department of Justice, plus her sister is a cop. That's going into what people might believe, that there's some family affiliation or connections that can lead to something being covered up. I myself don't hold those beliefs of there is some kind of government cover up. The United States, in my opinion, doesn't have any reason to cover up anything. If anything, it's in their best interest to solve this case, because all eyes are on them. And to be honest, I feel like they were thinking of closing this case down. They put out that statement, they're probably going to close the case down, but due to backlash and everything else, they pretty much are keeping it open. They probably didn't get the response they were expecting. They probably thought it was going to swash everything up, and then everyone would move on, and they're not going to charge anybody. But they see people are still going, people are still going to be marching and protesting. So they are saying, hey, this case is open. Shout out to Ramona Chapman for the super sticker. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel. And also shout out to, and everybody else, remember you can support this. Oh, I didn't post it, my bad, I'm sorry. Again, thanks so much for supporting my channel. Also shout out to, let me go back to my, shout out to Deanna for the Cash App. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel as well. I appreciate it, girl. You always support my channel. I appreciate it. And everybody else, just hit the like button. That's the free way to support the channel. Right, Dani, why had nothing to do with her demise? Yeah, they hid the fact that there was a brutal attack over there in Cabo. And if they felt like it had nothing to do with it, why hide it? Exactly.
Power on.
Right, everyone is on the table and should be treated the same across the board relative to what led up to the brutal assault and cover-up. Well, I really don't think everyone should be treated the same. It's based on their level of culpability. For example, Nazir didn't come there until 2:17 p.m. Saturday, so his treatment should be based on what happened from 2:17 p.m. Saturday until the time they left and came at the Cabo. The others, their level of culpability is greater because they were actually there, present in the room. Well, at least 3 were, that we can see, were present in the room during the time of the brutal attack. And they also were there that Friday beforehand and up until that Saturday, right? So, and they were in the room recording. So then they have more culpability, in my opinion. So everyone is still like responsible, or is still under investigation, to be honest, and then should be kept on there to be held responsible for some part in it, but to different levels of culpability. Child, you need to see her all the information you know, because clearly she has no idea what's going on with Shanquella's case. Well, at first, she didn't really have that much information, but now, to be honest, she knows more than anybody. And the reason I say she has more information than anybody, she has the at least 50 pages of documents from the May statement, Khalil, all the Cabo, their statements. She has the whole packet of information. So she actually is the one, to be honest, has the golden egg, the whole packet of information from Mexico. So she has way more information than I do at this point. Now, at the very beginning, when she first started and she made like the first video she made, yes, I knew more information. But now that she has documents and information that I can't access, I have access to, she has more evidence and information. Why are you saying wow, M-Mac? What was that for? Deanna says correct, but that doesn't matter right now until they get arrested. Then we can figure out who's less culpable. That's true in some extent, but since it's the internet and this is commentary, people are going to give commentary on things. And what we have to realize about commentary and thoughts and opinions and these topics is that each channel and each creator and even subs will all have their own opinions and things that they want to talk about, discuss, or different variables or portions, like topics that they want to discuss about Shanquella, and they will have, you know, their own thoughts and opinions on it. So even though we know that once everyone is arrested or everyone is brought in or even questioned or an investigation is concluded, everyone will be get their punishment or whatever they're culpable for, right? But in the meantime, people will need something to talk about, or they will want to talk about the case, and they will have like panels. People will have discords or even Facebook. There's Facebook groups for Shanquella too, and people will pretty much just give their opinions on the topic. And one of those opinions will be who is responsible or not responsible or less responsible, even right now before anyone is actually arrested or taken in. But yeah, we should just focus on justice for Shanquella and not anyone's arrival time, because at the end of the day, we all don't know what happened to the very end and everyone's part in it. We can have opinions, but opinions are just that. Opinions is not 100% fact. And basically, that's going back to the video. Sharon Robinson, as a lawyer, she's not going to excuse anybody from this whole thing. We out here can't excuse anybody that we feel might not be involved or whatever. But as for a lawyer, you never excuse anybody from a list of suspects, because you don't know, you're not in their head to know exactly what they know or what they were thinking or what they were planning. You since you don't know that, you don't have scientific evidence or concrete evidence to prove that. And it's possible that later on you might sue people, have a lawsuit. You never take anybody off the list. Everyone stays on it. Okay, let's go back to the video. I'm not really going to get into Dina King. She may be kin to Lee's family. I'm not really going to get into Dina King because she is like I don't know. To be honest, I don't know yet. Dina King, in my opinion, she never answers emails, and I don't know. I will want to know more about Dina King, to be honest, because she is a key person in this. Now, I don't believe that any part, let me correct myself or clarify, should I say. I don't believe that she is involved in any sort of cover-up at all. I don't believe in any cover-up or conspiracy that's going on. The reason I say that is because the FBI is the one that's really investigating the case and collecting the evidence. The DOJ is the one that will actually kind of like prosecute the case or like do the court documentations and after they look at the evidence that the FBI collected. So there's a chain of command going on here. There's like a chain going on here, should I say, where the FBI gathers the evidence and then the DOJ takes the evidence and decides on their ability to prosecute the case, right? So if the issue is insufficient evidence, well, I guess the prosecutors will say that's insufficient and not go forward. But that's also can go back to the FBI and what information they're gathering or presenting. because that would kind of be obvious if they gather a whole lot of evidence, and then the Department of Justice, like Dina King, would say, "Oh, that's not enough evidence." So I really don't believe in any conspiracies, but I do believe that there is a level of, there needs to be more effort. And I think there needs to be more pressure applied to Dina King, to be honest. So yeah, we need to just apply. I wouldn't get into like conspiracy with Dina King, but I will apply more pressure. And applying pressure will actually satisfy people that have a conspiracy about it or thoughts about it, and also anybody. So I did give everybody email for Dina King. So email Dina King, and that will apply pressure to Dina King to take action. And there's also another person that was listed on the legal document as well. I will try to find that person's email because there's two people listed from the attorney's office. So I will find that person's email and I will send it out to y'all as soon as I have it. Apply pressure to the people and then see what happens from there. So I've actually gave Dina King's email for a long time, and I think I have it right here. Let me see here. So everyone that sees the email Dina King. So even if you're like questioning like what, like her positioning, her stance, and like why she isn't doing what she needs to be doing, then just send an email. Now in the email, I want to accuse her of any conspiracy or any being in cahoots with anybody. Just an email about getting justice for Shanquella. So yeah, be careful when you're emailing people. Let's see here. I know I have it. Okay, that's Leah. I actually have to get it back again. Leah Montanavi, Shirley Summers. Okay, well, I do have it on the petition page, so let me go. So to be honest, on my channel, I'm not gonna really get into any Dina King like any conspiracy or conspiring things. However, I will just give her email, and then people can apply pressure to her. And applying pressure to someone is still like saying, "Hey, why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing?" So it still can be help in that regard. So no matter if you believe that she's a part of a conspiracy or not, everyone needs to email her to apply pressure. Simple. No matter what side you are on. I'm not gonna really look into her in that angle on my channel, should I say. However, I will apply pressure to her, and I'm hoping everyone else will too. And also the second person on there as well. Okay, I'm about to post her email on the screen. Just a second. Okay, dina.king@usdoj.gov. Now, if she was like an FBI agent, that would be kind of different. But since she's not like wait one second. Okay, here is the Shanquella Robinson petition. Make sure you sign that. That's Department of Justice, Leah Bontanvani. But I definitely want to get y'all this one right here for Dina King. Okay, so here is Dina's email. Anybody that wants to say anything to Dina about justice for Shanquella, make sure you keep it professional. You keep it. Don't put anything that's like. Just make sure that you actually keep it cute and not to go like do too much. You're responsible for whatever you email government officials. Okay. I email government officials all the time, but I have to be responsible for what I put in the email. You pretty much just want justice for Shanquella, and you want to know updates on this case, and you want them to pretty much, you want her to sign the extradition paperwork to honor the extradition of Dejanae Jackson, honor the request to extradite Dejanae Manhan Jackson back to Mexico. So that's the email for Dina. Everyone has it now. Okay, so let me go ahead and get back to the video. I did see a super secret, so I will address that person as well. So yeah, make sure y'all that there's an email. Make sure you email that. So one thing everyone needs to keep in mind is that a lot of times if you have something you want to say to a government official, a lot of these emails are public. And as long as you keep it cute and there's no threats or anything like that, you can email your thoughts, okay? So if you have something you want to write to Dina King regarding Shanquella Robinson, there's the email. The main thing we definitely need to stress in the emails is that we need her, Department of Justice, to honor Mexico's request to extradite Dejanae Manhan Jackson back to Mexico. Simple as that. That's what we want. And if they don't want to extradite, they need to actually bring their own charges in the United States. So A, extradite her to Mexico and let Mexico try her. Or B, invoke extraterritorial jurisdiction, or as Suen says, like concurrent jurisdiction, and try her in the United States. And definitely that's the only two options that's the only two options we will accept at this point. Shout out to Jane for the super sticker. To Jane for the super sticker. She says, just wanted to send a little something and say you appreciate it. Yes, something. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all too. And yeah, so thank you so much. And everybody else, remember, you can support the channel for free just by hitting that like button, But yes, go ahead and email, because again, a lot of times you can have, if you want your voice to be heard, you want your thoughts to be heard, then you can take to an email and write. I mean, to be honest, I take chances sometimes. I email people and I'm thinking like, oh, this person might not respond because they're in this position or in that position, or they're disconnected to this person. But then lo and behold, guess what? Some people actually respond. And like the first time I emailed to the FBI, I actually didn't really think I would get a response. But since that time period, I always get a response. I'm like sometimes within minutes. So you never know. You never know. And it actually comes in handy, right? And also Leah Bontavani, the Department of Justice person, actually wrote me back twice too. So you never know when you might get a response. So always just feel like you can. Okay, so Jane Woman says she has pull. Yes, I can believe that some people have pull, especially she's a U.S. attorney in North Carolina. However, I'm saying for me, to be honest, I don't have time right now to go into that route. There's so many things I have to do. I don't have time to look into something like that. However, what I can do as my part is provide her email address, and then also I can also tell everyone to email and for her to do the extradition. And in that way, it's actually two birds with one stone, because when I'm applying pressure and I'm telling everyone that signed the petition to apply pressure to Dina, if she is conspiring or in some kind of conspiracy or some kind of cover up, she's got to be pressured to take action. You see what I'm saying? So even if you believe that she is doing a cover up, email her so she can be pressured to take action. You see what I'm saying? So me emailing her and telling everybody I know to email her is applying pressure to someone that you believe is in the cover up. So I am helping you in doing what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? Your form, some people might say helping is for me to dig into her and their background and dig into the family and dig into their connection. But I don't feel like I have to do that. To apply pressure will also be helping you, because when I apply pressure to someone that's trying to cover up something, they would feel obligated to kind of perform or give some kind of action and not cover up, because now they know people are on their back or on their neck. So I'm going to help you in your quest, but not in the way that you probably would want me to. I hope I clarified that. Agreed, different levels of culpability, void of preferential treatment. Okay, so let's get back to the video.
Hey, listen, this isn't what led to her unaliving, but this happened, just so you know, so that, you know, if a video comes out or there's some issues later, no one can point and say, well, why you ain't say this? So you can make 100 videos and say you were somewhere else or you did wooty woo woo woo, but you're aware that misinformation was shared, you know, which is evidence of a consciousness of guilt. And I'm a former prosecutor, so I can say we look at that. And
thanks again, Jane, and also everyone else that has supported my channel, and everyone else can support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. Cheryl says, I don't need to wake up to a flashlight at my window. I'm not emailing Dina. I have emailed Dina. You can email Dina, as long as you just make sure that it's not. You can email Dina. You cannot get in trouble for emailing just for Justice for Shanquella and basic things. And to be honest, I expect it. And to be honest, when you sign a petition, a lot of the signatures goes to the people that are on there anyway, like that I have on the petition, the government officials. So every time you sign a petition, it goes to the emails I have listed. Let me see what. So sometimes people will take their email off, so I have to add it back. But let me show you this. Hold on. Share this tab. Let me go right here. Okay, so pay attention right here. It says Danielle Robertson started this petition to LPI, Charlotte, and 12 others. And I actually had 26 names on here, but then some were removed. So when people sign a petition, it actually goes to LPI Charlotte, Cabo Villas, Alexandro Gertz, Lutz Rivas, Luce Rivas, Viola Lau, that's the mayor. I actually probably need Viola Lau, Ken Salazar, that's the ambassador, Victor Castro, the governor of Mexico, Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, and then Dina King right here. So when every time someone signs the petition, an email goes out to her. So she's getting emails. Attorney General, Department of Justice Shirley Rutledge, the victim coordinator for Shanquella, and then Public Relations Department there. And to be honest, I see some people have taken their name off. There's Anthony. Anthony has taken his name off. Some people can remove their name from email and not to add them back. So it looks like I have more work. See, I have more work. I have to go back in here and add more people. I have to add them back. To be honest, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to add people back. Like some people get tired of the email, so they remove their name. But I'm going to add their name back, because I want them to, every time someone signs, I want them to get an email. Yeah. But I removed Blue Rhino, and I removed some other where Elise was working at, because at that time they were allegedly fired. So then I took that email off. Hold on. But also, if you scroll through the petition, this is a lot of information on this petition. Pay attention. Look, that's a Twitter page, which to be honest, I really don't have time to update as frequently as before. I actually forgot what email I used for that one. Follow Twitter, and then, but you see FBI Charlotte, U.S. Embassy. There's all these emails and phone numbers. There's Zena King.
So you're lying by omission. Still a lie.
Has the family mentioned to you exactly who were the three that visit her when
Yes.
they came back from Mexico? Could you share with us who the family mentioned that the three were?
Sure. Ms. Jackson, Winter, and Cook.
That clears up a lot of questions that, you know, we've been having over here, because, you know, it's been a tug of war.
So yeah, that was very wicked and evil of Khalil, her alleged bestie, obviously fake, we already know. For him to bring Winter and Dejanay, especially Dejanay Manhan Jackson, over to the house, that actually shows right there, you know, like he already knew that Dejanay had been using her man hands to brutally attack Shanquella, and then for him to bring her to the mother's house, that actually, you know, he knows good and well what he was doing. Covering for her, still like you know, his alliance obviously was with Dejanay, and at that point he realized too. I truly believe that they all knew that they would actually be in trouble. So at that point, it wasn't just about protecting Dejanay; it was about protecting themselves as well. And that's where mission and cover up comes in. Yep. But to bring her to the person that brutally attacked Shanquella, bring her to the mother's house, that's really pathetic. He's such a fucking loser. And to be honest, I can't wait until the investigation is complete and there's more evidence. I think there will be more evidence. To be honest, like, what is the FBI doing as far as electronic evidence and communications and things like that? I know there has to be way more video footage. And I mean, how long did they take to actually try to retrieve information, like deleted information, like video footage or anything like that? Because we can clearly see someone recording on the right hand side, on the right of Malik, to his right? So what happens to that footage? And how much longer were they recording after he stopped? A lot of things really don't make sense, right? And that's why there's a lot of confusion with this case. Stuff just don't make sense in this case at all. And then on top of that, every time something new comes out, it doesn't make sense. Like we have the full FBI autopsy comes out and it says a full autopsy, a complete work of her body. And then you say undetermined cause of death. It does not make sense. So then now adds to more confusion. And then after that, you say the case is still open. The case is still open. So that's what the email I got right here. Y'all remember today? The case is still open. To me, they should not have made the announcement that they are not going to bring charges until the case was closed, or until they had reached a conclusion. To me, that sort of announcement is not made until there is a conclusion to a case. even though they did state, well, as if more evidence comes in, we'll reconsider it. But that's different from saying open to we're not pressing charges. Oh, child, it's too much. Let's go back to the video. It's not that much love. And I'm going to actually post a link to the full video. Right now, I'm just going over Shank Rock's interview with Sue Ann. And make sure y'all subscribe to Shank Rock's channel. Mods, if you can actually post a link to his channel. And I'm also going to post a link to the exact video so you can finish watching the video as well after I finish with this last commentary on Sue Ann's statements.
On. Well, she didn't say who came. She just said 3 friends. So
right. And again, you know, the only person that Mr. and Ms. Robinson were aware of in terms of knowing or being known as a friend of Shanquella is Khalil Cook. The rest of the individuals, I am very clear in all interviews and even in how the family speaks on referring to the rest of the individuals as travel mates, because
And I keep have it on mute. Patricia says, if this was an accident, why is the Cabo 6 hiding and telling lies and covering up? It wasn't an accident. And that's why, if it was 100% known that it was an accident, the medical examiner would have put accidental death as a manner of death. If it was like 100% evidence of a homicide, they would have put homicide. But since they don't know whether it's a homicide or accident, because there's ways people can go either way based on results and what was stated, then that's why you put undetermined. To me, the diagrams and everything points more towards violence along with the video and not accidental. But I feel like the medical examiner was too scared to just put homicide because he didn't want someone to come behind him and say that these injuries could also be consistent with the fall. So he didn't, to me, the medical examiner doesn't want to put his neck on the line and just put homicide, because like I told y'all before, anytime you go to court, there can be one side arguing one thing and then another side arguing against it. So there can be a medical expert that can go over the autopsy and they can say that this is consistent with the violent attack in the video. And there can be someone that comes right after that person and says, actually, this injury could come from a fall, and this is why it could come from a fall. So then there could be someone arguing for the accidental fall. So since if the medical examiner knows that even like a medical examiner could come behind him and say it was a fall, even like a little smidgen of that evidence that could be pointed towards that, then they'll put undetermined. That way, to be honest, that they won't be held responsible for the final answer. So to me, to be honest, we need a different medical examiner that is actually that does not care about other people's opinions, and they would just put out what they know and what they find, their findings, and they don't care if other people dispute it after them or whatever else. And the reason I can say this is because even now that we have this FBI autopsy, the only thing I did was reach out to people, medical examiners and forensic medical experts. And I said, can you review the existing autopsy and give your analysis or opinion on it? And most of them so far, I have emailed 36, have stated no, are not interested or whatever else. They don't have time. They have made some kind of excuse. They don't want to do it. And that's because they will have to go against someone else's findings on it. And also, this is a high profile case, international case. And even if they're not going against and they agree with it, their opinion will be put out there as this medical examiner or this forensic expert said something conflicting or contradicting the previous one that's just done by the FBI. This is big and this is major. And on top of that, if you know that this is going to be put out there and everyone's probably going to report on it, hey, the FBI just said that this autopsy was done by this medical examiner. Now another medical examiner said, no, looking at this whole autopsy report, this is violence. Oh my gosh, that's going to cause like a ruckus there and a lot of woo. I mean, that'd be good for us to hear, right? But and there could also be another one that can examine and say, hey, I agree that it's undetermined. And there's another one that can look at the results and say, it's actually could be consistent with the fall. We don't know what the next person will say. To me, I just wanted people's opinion, but to be honest, people are still afraid to give their opinion because their name will be attached to that opinion. And if it's wrong, then what? So hopefully they can find someone that will do the third autopsy, and that person has to be fierce. That person has to be sure of themselves and confident and actually go against and willing to go against the grain if it does come out that their opinion is different from the previous person. Yeah, so we don't see, I don't know, but I do agree with the third autopsy, but they need to get the cream of the crop. They need somebody at the top, someone's fierce, someone doesn't care about standing alone in their opinions. They'll give their opinion without any question or worry about what others think. But there's going to be a difference between someone reviewing an existing autopsy report and someone and evidence and someone actually doing a complete autopsy from scratch on their own. Obviously, the best one would be the one that's taking her body and like exhuming her body and doing the autopsy is best than to actually look at existing evidence in the existing autopsy, because now you're examining someone else's work and efforts. And they might not have examined the body thoroughly before they even put it into a report. So I do agree overall with the third autopsy, but I don't believe that would be 100% like great results because the body has been embalmed and due to decomposition so far. Hey, Jacqueline. So there's not that much video left, and I'm going to actually go ahead and finish it up.
Because there are people that traveled with her. I think there's kind of an underlying disrespect to Shanquella's memory in calling the people her friends, because a lot of people spend a lot of time on social media saying, well, you have to be better judge of your friends and the people that you're around and all those types of things, which I think are inappropriate because there's people who are victims of crimes that are always innocent, except when it's us. When it's us, people's first instinct is to look to how did we cause whatever event we are the victims of. Oh, well, you're being oppressed. Oh, well, that's because you guys won't do this. Oh, well, Shanquella was brutally beaten and murdered. Oh, well, that's because she didn't know that she was, in the house with a bunch of crazy people that would do something like that. So I think it's disrespectful to her memory and to her family to be questioning her judgment. Now, am I saying that for?
Yeah, as that regards, I think that everyone has taken to calling the Cabo like fake friends and not real friends. And yeah, but I do know she's saying that there has been a lot of people like giving a cautionary tale about be careful who you're friends with and who you rock with and who you travel with and things like that. And that can go into two ways. It's always good to look at things from two sides. One side is actually cautionary to just be careful, like who you keep around in your friend circle. The other side can actually be seen as victim blaming, saying that, oh, it's your fault for choosing bad friends. You should have known the signs that these people were fake. You should have known the signs that these people were not really down with you and you didn't feel their energy and their vibe. That goes into victim blaming. However, that's not people's intention. Their intention is actually to give a cautionary tale of signs to look for of fake friends and signs to look for of this and that. But we always have to look at it from two perspectives. One side can be viewed as victim blaming, to be honest, because you're saying that she should have recognized these people were fake as fuck. And then the other side is seen as, girl, we need to be careful. And these people gave you signs they were not fucking with you. But yeah, so there's two sides to coins you have to look at. So I would in that way give a follow-up to where, yeah, those people were her fake friends, and I wish she had some real friends like that. That kind of statement is kind of better because it's like, oh, I wish she had some real friends and not those fake friends. It's not really blaming her, just wishing best for her. And the other side is kind of where people can spin it to where you're blaming her. Like, you girl, you see these signs of somebody being fake like that. But it's pretty much just a cautionary tale.
For other people traveling, for people traveling in the future or whatever, they can't use what occurred to Shanquella as a cautionary tale and say, let me keep my head on a swivel. Let me make sure certain things for my security are in place. Absolutely. But I do not think that anyone should be sitting high and looking low on someone who's a victim of a crime, a victim of people that are obviously acting in an irrational manner based on what we saw in the video, because it's not, there's no mutual combat happening. You know, if you were in the street and there was some sort of a fight or an argument between people and we're all out there and we see one person getting beaten, other people say, okay, the fight's done. The fight's over with. You know, and I'm born and raised in Miami. So I'm saying, like, I've seen situations, and you know, if one person's armed, one person unarmed, people like, hey, that's not a fair situation. There's no way you could look at the video and be like, oh, this makes sense. The people talking and speaking on the video that aren't involved in the beating, oh, this is something that they're watching that should make sense to them. Even if you want to apply some sort of street rules to it, you don't sit there and watch somebody be attacked and beat.
So as far as people are messaging me about Dina King, as far as that goes, to be honest, like I said, my plate is full at this time. However, if I have free time or anything like that, I will actually look into if there's any possible affiliations or connections, but I'm not going to make any promises that I will look into it at all. So as of now, I'm just giving her email, and if there is any time that I feel like I'm free to look into it, then I will, but I'm not making any promises that will actually be done. But yeah, I do hear your statements. I do hear your things that there's possible connections or relations. And that's something I might look into, but I'm going to make any promises because I kind of have my plate full at this moment. But yeah, I do agree with Sue-Ann. Of course, like usually when there is like a brutal attack going on, when two girls or two people are about to fight, okay, I know this is a brutal attack. I'm just giving an example. And they start hitting each other or they start to fight. And you realize that one person isn't, well, let me stop. When two people are about to fight and you realize that one person is not hitting back, or even one person has an advantage and the other person is pretty stomping the other person out, you're usually going to stop it because you realize it's not a fair fight. The other person isn't hitting back, so there's no need for the other person to have this much aggression and this much force being used against somebody that's not even hitting back. So you're like, okay, that's enough, because like this person isn't hitting you back. Like you're like outside of this person's weight class. Even like for wrestling, they make sure that people are wrestling each other with the same weight class, like within the same weight or the same body composition or size to make it fair. If not, then it becomes unfair. So once they realized it got out of hand, they saw how she was being brutally attacked, and she said, no, like she wasn't going to hit back or participate in this, then it should have been broken up. Simple. If somebody was a real friend, they would already broke it up. Simple. And even if the people in the room are friends with both people that are fighting, or should I say one is getting brutally attacked, they still will step in as a friend to both, because they're like, hey, we don't even want y'all fighting. Like, y'all supposed to be cool. Y'all supposed to be good. Y'all supposed to be buddies. Y'all supposed to be friends. So we don't even want y'all fighting it up like this. We're going to break it up. And obviously, one person is not even hitting back. We're definitely going to break it up. So there's a lot of fakeness going on there.
Beaten, not fighting back, and they're naked and non-responsive. unless you're having irrational thoughts yourself.
And that's what I said. And that's what, you know, pretty much we all agreed on. You know, street rules, you know, should have kicked in. Look, stop, leave her alone, back off of her immediately. You know, do you feel as though, or the family, do y'all feel like it could possibly be some kind of cover up going on with this case?
I think at this
Okay, so Maz, did y'all post a link to Shank Rock's channel? Can you please post a link to Shank Rock's channel if y'all have not already? And for people to subscribe to his channel to watch the rest of this video. Let's see here. Okay, my Sharon. Thank you, thank you, Sharon. Okay. So Miss Smith says, it says Miss Smith or RN Smith? I need to make it bigger. Okay, RN Smith says, Dani, what about the discrepancy between the coroner in the US and the coroner in Mexico? Don't want to be morbid, but should it be redone? Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Yes, thank you for the super sticker. And yes, I do believe that autopsy should be redone. I spoke to someone before, and they previously said that what a previous statement made to me was that if an autopsy already exists, sometimes you can get a medical expert to look over that existing autopsy to get, like, to go over that the results and see what they see within the findings. However, I really don't think that would be sufficient in this case because there is a discrepancy between, like, the spinal cord injury. So since that's a discrepancy, I feel like there needs to be a third autopsy so someone else can look at the spinal cord and the spine area, right? However, there also could be, to be honest, I hope they actually looked over any possible things that happened during, like, translating the autopsy. You know what I mean? The translating the autopsy from the Mexican autopsy, the Mexico autopsy from Spanish to English, was all the terminology properly translated, like the words? Because there are so many, like someone mentioned before, there's atlas luxation, there's atlas dislocation, there's different atlas subluxation or something like that. There's so many different things. So I hope it wasn't lost in translation, like exactly what was meant, right? So to be honest, I think that we also need the original autopsy. If it was the original autopsy done in English or Spanish. If it was done in Spanish, I actually want to see the original autopsy in Spanish as is without being any translation, because things can get lost in translation. I've seen it myself. And the reason I've seen it myself is because I have translated documents, converted, should I say, I use a converter from Spanish to English, and some of the words were lost in translation and took upon a whole different meaning. But to me, that would be obvious to why, why wouldn't someone recognize that something was lost in translation? I don't know, but I still want to see that. For that reason, since it's a spinal cord was found in one, injury was found in one and not the other, we need someone else, a third opinion, to reevaluate the spinal cord injury. Yeah, we need someone else to look at the spinal cord, see if there's actual spinal cord injury, if they see it or not. Because to be honest, that's like a big deal. Like, for one person to see it and then another person not to see it, like, it can't just disappear. So for that, I would need a third opinion. It definitely. Everybody else, I hope that answered your question or as regards to my opinion. And everyone else, please support the channel for free just by hitting the like button.
At this point, the issue is that the U.S. authorities, law enforcement, did not take the case serious from the gate. The autopsy occurred in January. So that delay has caused a discrepancy, which now they're covering by saying, oh, well, there's a discrepancy, so we can't file charges. I think that's definitely a cover. I think the position that they're taking on not filing charges is a cover.
Okay, so here's my question. I need to actually pull the autopsy again. I thought the other autopsy was done right with 2 days before her funeral. So like 2 weeks later, or almost 3 weeks later, right? So November 17th, right? So that wouldn't be January. Because I mean, to do an autopsy, you need her body. Her body was buried in her body was buried in November 19th. So you have to do the autopsy before she's buried, because she wasn't exhumed. She would have to be exhumed to do the autopsy in January. Now they might have been doing some other kind of testing, maybe toxicology in January, but I need to pull the report again. Yeah, so she wasn't exhumed to be done in October. Wait. To be completed in January, she would have to be exhumed. She wasn't exhumed. It was done before November 17th. The toxicology, I have to look and see when they complete the toxicology report. Yes, they call toes fingers. And a lot of times, even like with some people, like, and to be honest, that can cause a lot of confusion, because even over here, people are stuck on pronouns, right? And a lot of times when you translate things from Spanish to English, the pronouns get messed up. There's a lot of times I will put something in English and I'll put she. And as soon as I translate it to Spanish, and I look at then I like revert it or convert it back. It will go back to saying he. And I'm like, I put she. And then I would have to try to fix it, so align the sentence so we go back to he. But as soon as that is posted over here in the United States, people will say, oh my gosh, it's a he, it's a he, it's a he. And no, it could have been something lost in translation to where now it was she, but then so it got translated and then it put he, and now people are stuck on that it was a he. So that those things, like even little things like that, can mess up someone looking into a case. Why not just review both x-rays first? I doubt if FBI filmed someone else's bones. I don't believe that. Here's the thing. If I were a medical examiner, I would not want to look at someone else's work and someone else's picture, someone else's everything. I would want to do my own autopsy. I'm just saying, like, and that's, to be honest, with a lot of things, is that especially when your neck is on the line, your job is on the line, your opinion is on the line, a lot of times you don't want to look at someone else's work. Like, even for like some people that like are barbers, like a barber or even a hairstylist or something like that, or even like for your eyebrows. Like, I mean, to be honest, sometimes people don't want to go in after someone else and work on someone else's work. They would rather have someone new come in there or just start from scratch and do their own thing. It's just something about like re-examining someone else's work. And then you might, so if they messed up on a picture or an x-ray, or they didn't do something right, and then now you're on the line because you went by their results instead of doing your own autopsy. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. But obviously when it goes to court, because I'm speaking it into existence, when it goes to court, they will have an expert witness that will go over the autopsy, and then that person will review existing information without doing their own autopsy. And if they choose someone for a third autopsy, it has to be someone like really great, because that person will also need to have experience being an expert witness. They will have to have experience like going to court and being on trial, like in high profile cases. So they need someone great. Definitely. So I do recommend, to be honest, getting a third autopsy, because that one was by the FBI and through the government funded. I would actually do a private autopsy, and I would get one of the best people possible. Yep. The best people, one of the best people. And that's not afraid to give a solid opinion on what they think based on all the evidence. And then once the autopsy is done, then that will bring something new to the table. Yep. And to be honest, I probably, even though like they probably were already going to do their own, but then the FBI stepped in and said they would do one. They probably didn't do it. From the beginning, I would have probably already tried to do my own autopsy. A private autopsy is best, because that way you'll make sure that you have more control over what happens with the whole process.
What was your experience like? I don't want to quote you wrong. I believe you mentioned before that when you went to Mexico and you went to the United States Embassy, I believe that, you felt as though you wasn't treated fairly. And once again, I don't want to quote you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience like when you visit the U.S. Embassy in Mexico?
Well, the consulate office that I went to, or was directed to go to, was actually a closed office. I spoke to the consulate over the phone. Our team did before we got there, advised them we were going, because that's protocol. I wouldn't just show up and be like, hey. But when we actually arrived, when we were attempting to get the services that they're supposed to provide in terms of being a liaison to the Attorney General's office, they declined to do so, and essentially got kind of in a back and forth with me about, well, if the family wants information, they should go to the travel mates. So to me, that's not appropriate if the whole job of the consulate is to serve as a liaison in these exact situations. And instead of offering a helping hand, they're basically offering a slap in the face. The good news is, again, we're used to obstacles. We're used to plaintiffs' cases where there's a lot of, odds stacked against our clients. So we kept it pushing, and we were able to still get the investigatory documents from the Attorney General's office in Mexico and speak to the paramedic and all of those things. But it wasn't because of the U.S. consulate. It was really in spite of.
Yes, and that was, again, I went over that before. Hey, La Jessica. So I went over that before, and to be honest, that was actually stupid to say, because to be honest, nobody is really going to talk to someone's lawyer without their own lawyer, or even at all, unless they're going to court. Like, I never really, to be honest, y'all, I never know anyone to actually just reach out to someone else's lawyer and then and on the opposing side and just willingly talk and give them information, unless they're going to turn like state witness or something, become a witness for the other side. Yeah, other than that, if the other side is like opposing them or going against them and accusing them of things, they're probably not going to come to talk to that person. So that's actually was dumb to actually suggest that Sue Ann or the family talk to the Cabo. Okay, so Shell says the newer part was done in January. Yeah, I figured some parts were probably done in January. So she probably means like the autopsy was completed in January instead of it was actually, and that shows right there, if it was actually completed early on in the year, I need to actually look at it. If it was actually completed way before April, that means they already knew this information in January. So why would they not post it in January? Why would they not post in January that they had insufficient evidence? Or maybe they were still trying to hope for other evidence besides the autopsy. However, they're basing their decision on the autopsy, then that doesn't make sense. A lot of this stuff really doesn't make sense, to be honest.
When it comes to the wound, what actually caused the delay in the United States following through with arresting the main aggressor?
The investigatory packet that has been submitted by Mexico, that Mexican authorities have identified who they called the aggressor, that has to be approved by the Department of State and the Office of International Affairs in order for the U.S. Courts to start the extradition process, in order for that to be filed in federal court in the United States. So as a United States citizen, that aggressor, that person that's named as a suspect, would get to file motions and object and say, I don't want to go to Mexico, or whatever the case may be. But that would be a public pleading and filing and court proceeding. And so that has not occurred. But Mexico has turned in all the documents and all their investigative statements, all their pictures, their full autopsy done contemporaneously with Shanquella's death. They've turned in all of those documents. And that's why I say the ball is in the U.S. court now. They're saying they're declining charges. We're not okay with it, but we're saying, okay, prioritize and permit the extradition process to go forward. And we still are putting pressure on the Biden administration, on the Department of State, to make sure that happens at this point, since the FBI is saying they're not going to file any charges here. Then let the Mexican authorities proceedings go through, approve it, and let it go through.
One last question. I know you got to get out of here. One last question.
And yes, remember everyone to assist in this, to email the people I actually mentioned in the email that I sent out today. And also send a notice or email, should I say, through the, let me actually post the link again. That's the White House contact form. You can send an email or message to the White House, the president and vice president. You have to do it separately, okay? Okay, and Dangerous says the toxicology was issued March 7, 2023. And I agree, Gazek 5 says, even without the spinal cord injury, blunt force trauma, and other signs of a brutal beating occurred, do we now resort to the lesser of two evils? Both are evil and points to Shanquella's demise. Yeah, exactly. For blunt force trauma and swelling in the brain, right? Again, that's why it's undetermined. It's undetermined because, to be honest, I believe that he put undetermined because he doesn't want to take a whole risk of, he was probably told, of course, that it was possibly homicide due to the violent attack and also a fall in the bathroom. He evaluated the body, and then he realized that there are other people out there that could actually rule either way. They can rule in favor of the homicide, and they can also rule in favor of the accident or fall. And to be honest, there's always a way people can argue on both sides of something. Now, which one would be more believable is the question. And that will be actually left up to a jury to decide, right? It can even be like maybe it was 70% that it was obviously homicide, and then the 30% was left was probably could be seen as accidental fall, right? But if someone cannot say 100% that it was homicide, then they're not going to rule it. If they can't say 100% that accidental, they're not going to rule it. It's same with natural, and obviously this is not going to be natural. So in that case, that's when they will put undetermined, because there's conflicting things there going on. And even with the blunt force trauma, blunt force is obviously that, but you actually have to prove that the blunt force trauma is what killed her or unalived her. So if you don't have 100% proof that the blunt force trauma is what unalived her, then what? But what other injuries did that she have that actually will unalive her? To me, it would be the greater, like you said, like the greatest thing, like the greatest extent. Like what was like her greatest injury that she sustained? To be honest, he didn't come up with the answer after he did the autopsy. So that's why I said a third autopsy is, to be honest, in order. You have one say one thing and another say another. And remember, this one said there was no spinal cord injury. However, that could have been lost in translation as in what detail. But they also said they did a video conference, so that should have corrected that in translation. But this second one, we have to keep in mind the manner of death is undetermined, so it really didn't give a cause of death. So to be honest, a third one is needed. But yeah, make sure y'all contact the White House, do the form in the link I just posted. And let's go ahead and finish up the rest of this video, because I definitely need to take a break in between. Tonight on my main channel, we're going to be playing bingo if anyone's interested, and that will be on my main channel.
And I spoke with you briefly at the press conference. What can we in the YouTube world, myself, the subscribers, and other content creators, what can we do to help with the May the 19th march coming up? Is it anything that we can do to help?
Yeah, I think promoting it as we get closer and we have the details, being there, making sure that, you know, your subscribers are present, because there's always strength in safe numbers that are on one accord, which would be justice for Shanquella. So definitely supporting the actual rally and the march in a safe and secure way.
Well, Miss Sue Ann Robinson, it was my pleasure. We really appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to pull up to answer the questions that you answered for us. Once again, we thank you. Matter of fact, can I get my moderators to drop Sue Ann Robinson's link in the chat?
Okay, I'm about to drop the link to Shank Rock's video. Pretty much after this, they have like a panel discussion, discuss Sue Ann Robinson's interview. Make sure you check out his channel, subscribe to his channel. Yes, and yes. And watch the rest of the video. Okay, so on there are some celebrities that responded to the announcement, so I actually will be there are some others too, but to be honest, I was scrolling through, I didn't actually screenshot everyone, but I do have Viola Davis. She put no words. The only thing I can feel is the broken heart of Shanquella's mom. What does she do? How does she get closure? Who then becomes liable, or does anybody? Just sad, like heartbroken. So I am going to go around and try to find the other celebrity responses to this news. So obviously, it has reached everybody, and people were deeply like saddened and frustrated at the results, and surprised, to say the least, at the FBI statement. I myself, to be honest, I had to kind of take a break. I have been working behind the scenes, but I really could not come live at some point because I got too emotional just thinking about her not getting justice. So that's why I said some things are kind of triggering. So my reaction was not in regards to any trolls or enemies. Definitely not. I would never shed a tear at all for a troll or enemy. They can get a block and get paid dust. However, with Shanquella, yes, I do feel a connection to her and getting justice for her. And I really do believe that she was brutally attacked and that led to her death. And she doesn't really have a voice to speak for herself. So we all kind of have to be her voice to fight for her justice. And since this all happened and I started working on this, that's my goal, is to work on this until she gets justice. So obviously I would be emotional. I have a reaction to being told by the FBI there's insufficient evidence and Dejanay Mayhan Jackson will not be arrested when I've been wanting her to be arrested for so long. So that's why it did cause the emotional reaction. And to be honest, I'm one of those people that barely cries or rarely cries. It's like, if I cry about something, trust me, it's something that I'm really passionate about and that has really gotten to me. It takes a lot. I'm like, I promise, I probably cry like once in a blue moon. Like, I'm like a person that never really cries, to be honest. So if I cry about something, it's really something that I really just feel something about. And yeah, so in all, thanks to all for the support, and we will continue to fight for Shanquella and getting her justice. And again, check out Shank's channel. Great job, Shank, for bringing Sue Ann on your channel. And I do have some more messages from Nazir. And as far as Nazir goes, I feel, because I know people know that I have been in communication. He has sent me that one video. He did not send me the second video. I feel as if obviously nothing has changed. I don't believe that he was a part of any cover-up as far as knowing about the video until it was released. And I don't believe he was there on Friday, and that's not just by my belief. Let me clarify. He was not, I'm not going to say I believe. He was not there due to his flight information, because I verified 100% until at least Saturday at 2:17 p.m. However, I feel like he still should have done more by at least staying in Mexico to make sure that Shanquella's family knew where she was at. And as the father said, if someone had reached out to him and said what happened over there, he would actually make sure that the person stayed over there and was able to get back home and a place to stay and things like that. And as of now, I still don't believe 100% that he has made, like, decided on the side. What I mean is the side is, it's kind of like, if Shanquella is no longer here and someone to actually, like, to be honest, like, I would actually, there are sometimes when people would turn like state witness, or they will become like for the other side. They will actually go to the lawyer and tell the lawyer all they know, because I mean, they have nothing to lose, really. They will tell the lawyer all they know. They will actually be trying to reach out to the family and like kind of do that. He has kind of been like in between, you know what I mean? So I just feel like he should do more as the person that's more innocent in all of this, to actually help out the family and Sue Ann with answers and like, you know, like that. But as far as everything else, I still don't believe that he's a part of any cover up. I still believe that he does not know about the video until it actually surfaced online. However, I feel like he should have stayed in Mexico still, like, you know, like he should stay to Mexico to like keep track of Shanquella's body and where she was being transferred and everything else. Do I believe that he had the money to stay over there? No, but I believe that if he had contact with the family and said, hey, I want to stay over here and help with everything, but I need money, I'm sure that the father would have helped. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. And I'm gonna read a couple more comments and I will see y'all later. Some people are asking about bingo. The bingo is going to be on my main channel, and it's virtual bingo, and I will post a link to my main channel and actually link to the live. It's going to be in a couple of hours. It's not going to be now. Oh, so essentially I do have more messages I never posted from Nazir. And if y'all want me to go over that, just press 1 and I'll go over some of those messages. Not right now, but in the next live, I will go over some more messages that Nazir sent me. So just press 1 if y'all still want to see that, because some people are probably not interested anymore. I don't know. But yeah, so let me go ahead and post the link, because I didn't post all the messages from there, because once that news came out, I kind of needed to take a little bit of a break. And what I mean by a break, that means going live, like going live on this channel. I was actually going live on another channel, but that was like, that channel is like entertainment. It's like it's like a way to avoid. It's kind of like avoiding. Some people actually deal with certain things by avoiding, and sometimes I do that. I avoid talking on something that's going to make me emotional, but it's different when I'm talking on something that is just entertainment, right? But behind the scenes, I was still emailing people, and let me tell you, I emailed like 36 people. I counted just before the live to make sure it was accurate, but I emailed like 36 people about giving their medical experience or expertise. And obviously it's not going to be free. People like that don't really come for free. I obviously will have to pay for that actually to be done as well. So anyways, let me get the link to the bingo. Wait 1 second. And the instructions will be given at the start of the bingo game, okay? And there will be prizes on the main channel. Now, if you are a member on one channel, then I still consider you a member. So basically, the prize is $25 for non-members and $35 for members. But you can be a member on either one of my channels. You can be a member on Dani channel or a True Channel Dani channel. It doesn't matter which one you're a member on, but members always get like $10 extra as a prize as part of their perk. So members win $35 and then non-members is $25, but everyone can play. Shell says the news was heart-wrenching. We built ourselves up now. Yeah, and also remember, this is actually good news I got from the FBI today, right? Where is it? Where is it? But yeah, child. Hold on. Where? Yeah, so not that one. Okay, this email right here was for those that missed the first slide, this email right here is from Thomas Owens. He's the one that did the first autopsy. Not the first autopsy. Let me clarify. See, I got to take a break in between these lives. Okay, he's the one that did the FBI autopsy, Thomas Owens. Okay, and he pretty much declined to do an interview, and also he declined to do interviews. So not just with me, but interviews at all on this case. And then this one right here, this email right here is from FBI Shelley Lynch. Okay. And she says, hey, it remains open. You can submit FOIA anytime it gets processed after it's closed. So yeah, the case is open. So they won't be releasing any like files or documents from this case until the case is closed. So they have not officially closed this case yet. It's still open. Yeah, something. Yeah, self-care. Definitely self-care. I'm going to explain bingo on the other channel. It's pretty much easy. As long as you got a device, you can play. As long as you have a device, you can play. Sometimes it's better to have 2 devices. That way you don't have to go back and forth. But I'm going to explain the game. So yeah, so I have some ones. So I'm actually going to post the messages, but not in this live right now. You're welcome, Sandy. I'm not going to post it today because I want to actually have it ready. I have to screenshot the ones I'm going to post and decide what I will post or not post. Okay, let's see here. If you think it will help and not help everyone go love into the universe, Deanna, come on now. Let's be honest. No matter what happens, people are going to go left. And Yes. To be honest, everyone is always going to go left. And I feel like sometimes if someone messages you something, they kind of expect you to post it. Not everything, but some things I think they wanted you to post, or they want you to post. That's why they're posting it. Because why would you post something to a YouTuber if you don't want to post it? I mean, come on. And at one point I asked, can I post it? And he was like, oh, you already know you're going to post it or whatever. But yeah, to be honest, everything is always going to go left. But to be honest, the messages I posted before, I didn't really see people posting those messages, like spinning those out. The video I posted, yeah, but not the messages. Tina says, hi, Dana. I think we need somebody that has big balls enough to go up against. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we need. We need somebody that is fierce. I say fierce like that. Sasha fierce. You need somebody that's fierce, Hunty. Fierce. Not afraid. Okay. Yes, let me look at the petition. So that, to be honest, it's always great for me to mention the petition. We probably already be higher numbers if I actually mention it every live. Like I had missed out on some lives I wasn't mentioning because I had automatically assumed that everybody watching had signed it. It's kind of like if I had 5,000 signatures, I would think that 5,000 people already signed it, like my subs already signed it, but that's not always the case because it's like people outside of here as well. Because even during this live, we have additional signatures. That's why it's always good to share. Share, Hunty, share. It's weird, to be honest, Jazz, for someone to fall face forward. That seems obviously staged to make it seem like someone just fell on their face, and that's why they have these injuries to their face, when obviously we can see them being brutally even kicked in the face or whatever, right? PM Channel says, for all of us, it was an emotional gut punch. We pressed forward, supporting you and justice for Shanquella. Yeah, exactly. It's emotional. It's for everyone. I mean, especially the family. Okay, so yes, hashtag justice for Shanquella. Okay, yes, a lie detector for them all. Money talks to reward for more info and true facts to surface, and could get some traction. Ooh, to be honest, that actually will be great, a lie detector test. However, to be honest, some people can actually pass one. There are some people that can actually find ways to pass a lie detector test. But yeah, I would still be down, to be honest. I'll still be down for a lie detector test. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. For some of you, I will see you tonight. And for others, I will see you on this channel another day. It's easy for them to say she could have fallen, yet look the other way with a video showing a brutal assault. Makes no sense. This case most certainly needs to remain open with pressure applied. Exactly. So yes, I will just leave off with this comment right here. This needs to remain open and pressure still needs to be applied. And to be honest, I think that pressure is what kept it open, because to be honest, when people say there's insufficient evidence, they're not going to press charges on anyone. They're really trying to say they're wrapping this up and they're about to close this out. So I believe that once they saw that people were still going to be protesting and marching and going against what they're saying, they decided to go ahead and keep this open. Yep. So we definitely need to keep applying pressure, because trust me, I believe that they were going to shut this down and close it out by just saying that there was insufficient evidence. But then now that people were going against it and still like saying we're going to march and protest and still do things, they decided to do that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, thank you for thanks to all my mods for helping out doing this live. I do believe they talked to everyone, but to be honest, since they talked to everyone and no one said anything that's like a confession or anything, obviously that's why there's like an ongoing thing. So pretty much all the Cabo kept to their original story. They didn't really change from it. They didn't really change from what they said. Now they, of course, they had to admit to a brutal attack now, but they kept to their other part of their cover up. And like I said, and most of them are still in hiding, right? I mean, Nazir's the only one, to be honest, that isn't really still in hiding. Like even right now, if the FBI said that they're not pressing charges, you would think that more people would come out. But it looks like to me, Nazir's the only one that's still not like fully in hiding. Someone did mention something about Khalil, like something on some kind of social media, but other than that, everyone else is still hiding out. Bye. See y'all later.